Coxie.
Was.
G'day, I'm
Listeners.
Waz.
And I'm Nick, sometimes
Hello.
Coxie, mostly Nick.
This is the Tradies in Business
What kind of
podcast.
award does the
and
dentist
we're here to
do
share a
get?
bunch of tips, ideas, tactics that you can put in place to get
I haven't had enough
change
coffee to
happening
figure that
in your trade business right now.
If you're really lucky, we're going to entertain you with a few mum jokes and, more importantly, a bunch of fantastic guests that will educate you in all things you need to know about trade business. But we do promise to do it with a whole bunch of fun along the way.
I'm a self-confessed idiot, so strap yourself in and enjoy another episode. I like that.
Did I pass the joke test for you today, Warwick?
I reckon I'd give you a positive score today.
Oh, that's a first.
Not that I'm like the joke aficionado.
You have a lot of comment about my joke.
I've got an opinion about everything, Nick.
As do I, as it turns out. I don't think anybody else could say much different, to be fair.
I actually have an opinion about my opinions. That's how opinionated I can be.
I think we recently discussed that on the website. On the podcast on the website.
I'm working on it. Come on, I've just passed the halfway mark in my life, and I feel like I'm starting to make some progress in my opinions about opinions.
I love that you are so certain that for how long you are going to live.
Well, there's all this stuff that, I don't know, coaches or someone like that, they talk about this stuff, you know, if you talk about it enough and you set your gaze on things and you, dream it and talk about your goals and all those principles, then that makes them manifest. So I figure if I just talk about it like it's fact, what else is going to happen?
I don't know that I want to answer that question.
Don't you burst my bubble, Nicole.
I'm a little worried about what could happen if I try to answer that question, so I'm not going to touch it.
Well, the reality is I don't know what's going to happen, which is kind of like entering business awards. You just don't really know if you're going to win or not.
That is probably one of the worst segues you have ever done.
But it was seamless. Do you like the way I just rolled straight into it without even thinking about it? It's probably why it was so crap. Hey, listeners, we're talking about business awards today.
Maybe they feel as bumpy as our little intro.
Yeah. Well, people are perhaps a little fearful about them, like they are about the rest of this episode, based on the start of it.
Do you think maybe that they're fearful, or do you think that they don't have a clue why you would?
I think it's a bit both. I think a lot of people reckon it's a waste of time. So it's there's no benefit to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's all a bit of a wank.
Mm-hmm.
Am I allowed to say that in 2024?
I don't know. I was wondering whether now we have to mark it with the big E, and will people actually listen, or what's going to happen now?
Let me go put that on the episode notes for today.
You better. I feel like it can be. Well, we're Australians, and Australians don't like to big note themselves. I say as I giggle and look at my awards behind my head, and the awards behind your head
as well.
My eye.
They're both pretty old though.
They are pretty old. I was thinking that as I hung them recently. It can be really uncomfortable to put ourselves in a position where we're going to receive public accolade. It's not an easy thing to do. And then what do you do with it when you get it? Do you tell everyone about it? That again can be really uncomfortable. I think that's the Australian way, and can play a big part in why people don't put up their hand and say, you know what, I'm going to enter some awards.
I think it's a pretty shit part of Australian culture. I think it's probably being diluted a lot, or been diluted a lot in recent decades, perhaps. I'm old enough to remember tall poppy syndrome at its probably peak in Australia, where people would literally shout demeaning comments at someone driving past in a nice car.
Yes.
Speaking of wankers, which is, derogatory term, obviously. And like, where does that even come from? And I guess the difference now is that stuff happens online. That happens on social media. So in some ways it's less visible to the general public. If you're not in that group or you're not part of that conversation on a social media thread, you don't see the abusive comments. You and I we did a episode recently about trolls, and you and I get some What I mostly think are hilarious comments on some of our advertising and our posts on social media. And I think they're hilarious because they say everything about the person making the post and nothing about me. But I'm also old enough and experienced enough to be able to let most of those comments just fly straight on by. And where I'm going with this, Nick, is by entering an award, we're being judged. Like
Mm.
the term is still used. We're actually submitting ourselves and our business to be judged by other people we don't know. And that really still feels like shit.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable. It's not an easy thing to do. And I think this might be one of the only times where you'll catch me saying that the influencer marketing that we see now is actually a positive for how the tall poppy syndrome shift
Mm,
has begun in our
mm,
culture because, you only have to pop onto social media for half a second to be bombarded with influencers that are telling you how good they are or how good what they do is, or subscribe to my thing because it's what got me this amazing success. That's become a common conversation in our culture. And so I'm hopeful that that means that for the most part, people are a little bit more comfortable with being able to say, you know what, I did all right and this is what I did. But what we do see in the trades is that hasn't necessarily transcribed. We're still a very humble bunch, the tradies, and can be quite uncomfortable with the thought of putting our head up and saying, I won something over someone else. I was judged to be better than somebody else. But there's some great benefit here, whether you win, lose, or draw. That entering awards isn't necessarily about the result, it's more about the process if you allow it to be and what the opportunities are there for you as a business owner.
mm. I I think it goes both ways, to be judged by others and to be told you're not good enough, that sucks. But to be judged by others and be told that, hey, dude, you won, you're awesome, you're better than everybody else, that still feels good. No matter how much you want to say what other people think of me is none of my business.
Yeah.
And I've preached that for 15 plus years as a coach to my clients. The reality is that's a crock because I'm always worried about, not worried. I'm very conscious of what other people think of me because I don't want to be cast out of society or miss out on opportunities. I don't want to be laughed at by my friends or, kicked out of the mountain bike chat group because I was being a dickhead. So I think it's important to think about how other people perceive us, but not to actually worry about it and stress about it and let that become debilitating. And I think it's about that balance point or the harmony between being mindful but not being obsessed with what other people think of me. And I think it can go too far either way. So the whole point with the business awards is I think they're actually a great way to build confidence and build resilience against that feeling that I'm not good enough, and have a crack almost as an exercise in, what, win, lose, or draw. I've put my hat in the ring, which is more than most people would do, which straight away I'm making a comparison,
Mm.
but I'm proving to myself that I've had the guts to have a go. And in some sense, that elevates me and my confidence amongst the business community.
Yeah, I feel as though um, it's a great opportunity to be comfortable with where we're at. Now, there's as much validity in being a finalist or taking the time to enter the awards in the first place as there is to being a winner. I personally, having entered lots of awards, I don't believe that there are losers unless you dip out and Mark Burris just happens to pip you at the post. Then I felt like a real loser. However, I honestly don't feel like there are losers because of what I was referring to before, the process and the clarity that the process can provide you. And then even like most awards will give you a little banner, an email banner or some kind of social media proof that you can share with your followers that allows you to begin to influence how other people see you. So one of the positive parts of entering awards is you get that little social media banner, you can utilize it and tell people that you're that proud of your business that you have entered some awards. That immediately begins to influence how other consumers see you and your business, and they help you, without you even doing anything else, become more of an expert in your field. Because there's just this immediate association that any kind of awards are only for experts, or they're only for the very best athletes, or they're only for the very best of anything. And this is a great inadvertent way for you to start to influence people to want to utilize your services, because you must be the expert in the field because you entered awards.
Mm. I'm going to confess to something, Coxie. Uh, so one of our tradiepreneurs actually won quite a major award recently.
Mm.
And I have to say, I was surprised. And I was surprised because of something. And the reason I want to share this, as one of their coaches, and you're the other one, obviously,
Hope so.
we get very involved in the problems they're trying to solve in their business development and their business journey, the personal issues, the staff challenges, the money stuff that they've been fixing, and all of the things that go into improving a business is the same as improving a property. It's
Mm.
about ripping out the old gardens and fixing up the leaky roof and redoing the bathroom because the waterproofing's stuffed. You're focused on all of the things that are broken or that need improving. And so as a coach, sometimes it's actually easy to slip into what a lot of us do to ourselves, and that is to become overly focused on what's not working.
Mhm.
And that's why I was surprised. But them winning that award actually was a reminder for me as well as one of their coaches. It's like, oh, these guys have actually done this and they've done that and they've created this and they've transcended this challenge and they've fixed this and they've kicked these goals. And holy crap, personally, they've done this and it's changed their relationship in this way. And so there's this whole other side to the story that I'd become a bit blind to because of that focus on fixing, fixing, fixing. And I think that's a big reason to enter awards for any of you listening to this.
It's an excellent point you make. When I think back to, we do a quarterly planning session with all of our clients. We did one yesterday and we did
Holy
some
crap.
reflection on what everybody had achieved, both personally and professionally in the last 90 days. And it was mind blowing. Some of the stuff that we didn't know about because it was outside of our normal coaching sphere.
Yeah.
We didn't necessarily get to hear that. And then to watch the mood in the room lift as our clients were thinking backwards over what they had done or achieved was just mind blowing, because it's not something that we do. It's not part of our normal culture to sit down every day and think, oh, wow, I did a great job of this, or I did a great job of that, or holy moly, I've kicked off another goal. Instead, we just consume and continue, consume and continue, consume and continue. And
Mm.
so I think that's a fantastic point that you've made. There is a great opportunity entering awards to look reflectively at those changes that you have worked so very hard on for your business, for your relationship, for you personally, as a business owner, for your apprentices. It's an amazing way to validate what they've been doing to work really, really hard, or your partner. There are so many different angles that this can be a positive in. And this is only the tip of the iceberg, because not only is it going to make you all feel fantastic, help put a bit of pep in your step and remind you of the amazing things you've achieved, there are some really creative things you can do to help make more money because you've entered some awards.
Mm. And look, we're all in business to make money, right? Can we just all raise our hands and say, I'm here to make more money in business? And if you're not in business to make money, then you've either won Powerball or I really want you to go and get some therapy, because I don't know why anybody would choose to be in a tradie business if you're not doing it to make some money and create a lifestyle for yourself and your family, whatever that looks like.
Mhm.
Um, if you disagree with me, please drop us a DM. Be more than happy to have a chat with you. My opinion, I can share some more with you. But entering awards, the process can lead to an improvement in your financial position.
Mm.
And I say that because of a number of things. One is simply just the headspace. By doing what we were just talking about and reflecting back on all of your achievements and your progress, which is a big focus for writing your award submission, it becomes a bit of an affirmation in, oh, wow, we've done this and this and this, just like that client example I talked about earlier. And it was huge for them and their team, especially. And the feedback that our tradiepreneur members gave us about, because they took their whole team to the awards ceremony, not knowing if they would actually win, and they did. The just the camaraderie amongst the team and the pump up. Now, that doesn't last forever. You've got to continue with all of your other strategies to make sure that that lasts. But that's where you can actually leverage that submission, even share the submission with your team. Hey gang, we've entered the awards, win, lose or draw. It was amazing to see all the stuff we've achieved. Here's a list of some of the stuff that we've all done as a team here at XYZ Builders or whatever it is. Thank you for your part in that. You know,
Mm.
it's a fabulous way to get everybody back in alignment, which is going to have spin-off effects through productivity and a focus on quality and teamwork and, you know, people wanting to actually improve themselves. So that's one way, Coxie.
Yeah, one way to make more money. What's another way? We can be sharing it. Like I was talking about before, when we take the opportunities that are given to us through sharing, the social media tile and letting people know that we care about our business that much that we've entered awards, or we share whether we've become a finalist or a winner or whatever that journey is for you and your business. We are asserting ourselves as experts in the field, whether we mean to or not. That's the way the general public receives that kind of information. And so you have the opportunity to share that, share it abundantly. People start to gravitate more towards your business over time, quite simply because they see you as the expert in your field. You don't have to do any extra work to have that outcome. It just naturally happens for you.
Mm.
So I encourage you to be sharing the information when you do take the time to do something like that, so that you can see that positive flow on effect. There are also opportunities if you happen to become a finalist or a winner for that to be picked up in the local media, which is where you want it to be heard because it's where your clients are. And so I encourage you to send it out as a press release. There's lots of templates online to show you how to write a press release that will get some attention, and send it to your local publications because people want to know the good news stories. And my goodness, can't we all do a little bit to contribute to the positive narrative about trade business owners instead of all the rubbish we see on the current affair programs? This is your opportunity to share that again with your local media so that they have the opportunity. I've said about 500 times now. I was trying to find another one and I cannot. They have the opportunity to share what amazing things that your business is doing. Again, it helps set you apart from some of your competition in a very subtle but extremely positive way that can contribute to you making some more money.
The last one I want to share around what the hell's a business award got to do with making more money in your business is it forces you to do business coaching. Now, whether you're working with Coxie and I or not, or somebody else as a mentor, um, going through the process of entering an award is actually going to force you to do some of the fundamentals that we do in our Tradiepreneur program. So it's kind of like free coaching, really. You're going to have to sit down and think about, well, what's our business strategy and what are our financials look like? And you know, why are we a great business to deal with from our customers' perspective? What are the things we've put in place from a marketing or a sales perspective? What sort of quality systems have we put in place? How have we paid attention to environmental factors? All the sorts of questions you're going to have to respond to are going to make you think about your business as a business and not as a job, as a self-employed tradie. Even if you've got 10 or 15 staff, it's often quite common to slip into employee thinking because you're working for your business. And
Mm.
so a lot of us, even I do this at Tradies in Business here, I still slip into that worker mentality where it's like, oh, it's 8 o'clock, I've got to start work. And oh, can't wait till 5. I want to knock off and I'm going to have the weekend off. But the reality is, and without sounding like one of those wankers I was talking about earlier, which I probably will, um, Coxie and I are entrepreneurs and we
Mm.
get to choose our work hours just like you do. If you're listening to this and you think you can't choose which days of the week you work or what your work hours are, then I call bullshit on that. Otherwise, you would just be an employee working for somebody else.
Mm.
Now, I get that you choose to work 6 days a week and 12 hours a day, but that's still a choice. That you've made choices that have led to that. Anyway, without making this a lecture from Waz again, the process of going through the award submission gets you to look at your business as a separate entity and what are the things that you've put in place that make it awesome. And that's all the stuff that is literally the start of creating an amazing tradie business.
Now, why are we telling you all this? Because Our awards open.
Oh, there's an ulterior motive.
There is. Now, on the 1st of August, the third annual Tradies and Business Excellence Awards will be open for your submissions. I cannot remember the website, but if you check out our socials, and we'll put a link into the show notes for you, we have an entire website dedicated to these awards. Not only do we have multiple award categories for you to enter, we have cheat sheets, we have tip videos, we've got all of the information you could possibly need to help you put together a good awards submission. I want to make a really quick note on awards submissions. Every year, I have the privilege of judging many different awards in the tradie space through the HIA. And I can tell you that the quality of your submission can make an enormous difference to how you are seen and how well it is received by the judges. We've got 3 cracking judges this year. We've got some past clients and some other amazing judges, and they've been given a great set of guidelines that they're able to judge any of the submissions that come through, because it can be really difficult to compare you all apple for apple, because generally your businesses are very different and quite dynamic. So I would encourage you, if you're thinking about entering any awards, and specifically ours, given that I'm talking about them now, take a moment to download the guide, watch any of the videos, search through the podcast back catalogue to find we've done quite a lot of podcasting around this, so that you can put together the best quality submission you possibly can, so that you can be judged fairly. People can understand what you're trying to demonstrate through your submission. I think this year we've made it a whole bunch easier to pop in some videos as well. So because many of us can speak with more enthusiasm and excitement that we can write with enthusiasm and excitement. So we've tried to make this as easy as possible for you, so that you can share as much about you and your business for each of those submissions as possible.
Head on over to all the W's, tradieawards.com.au. Tradieawards with an s.com.au. And you can get your entries in. It costs stuff all. The submission process, as Coxie said, we want to get enough information without making it a pain in the ass. And, keep in mind, we're business coaches. So we've designed these to help you, whether you win, lose, or draw, and whether you're working with us or not. This is a positive experience. We got some amazing feedback from people who have entered in previous years and how it's just shifted the headspace. So there's more to this than just getting a fancy certificate.
You make a really good point. Last year's biggest winner was not. I really want people to hear this. This is not about being part of the TIB community. You do not have to be a client to enter. We had heaps of different submissions last year. I would say probably a good 30% of the submissions last year were non-clients. And the biggest winner that got the great big overall prize was a non-client. There's scope for everybody.
So have a crack. It is the Aussie way. It's the best way to counter tall poppy syndrome and all that other rubbish, is just to have a crack. Put your hat in the ring. If you don't, then the answer is always no. So if you want any more information, obviously go to the website, or you can hit us up via any of our other social channels. Have a go at the awards, and we look forward to perhaps crowning you as the big bopper, awesome tradie business in Australia.
Thanks for listening.
All right.